Welcome back to 50/50. I am very happy to have Carlii Lyon here with me today, and she is joining me from Sydney.
How are you, Tamara? Thank you so much for having me.
I'm very well, and I was saying to you before we started recording, I'm so excited to have you here, Carlii. You talk about online how someone online, by sharing, can make a difference to people, and there is not, I can say without exaggerating, you have made as online content the biggest difference to me from anyone online for probably the last 2 to 3 years.
Oh, wow. Thank you. It means so much to me. Thank you.
Oh,
That's
you're
a
so
really big compliment.
welcome. Oh, it's just been honestly like I'll be worried about something or I'll be thinking about something, and it's almost been a bit woo-woo what you will post. It's very rare that your post isn't exactly what I need to hear.
Oh, that's so good. I think that is the greatest compliment to anyone. I mean, to anyone who creates anything, right? When you hear from someone and they say, like, it really touched me, it really spoke directly to me. And I think that's the ultimate goal, the ultimate aim. So thank you. That's really made my day.
Oh, yeah, you're really, really welcome. I can't thank you enough, so I'm glad you enjoyed the feedback. So we've met at a very good time because we've met and you have literally been in the studio recording the Audible version of your book, which is
Yeah.
just about to come out, called The Courage to Be, right? And the
Yeah.
title isn't The Courage to Be, it's Courage to Be.
Yes. Yes.
So I have many questions for you about that, but I want to take a little bit of a step back and let the audience know a little bit about what got you to this point. And as an interjection, one of the things I saw you mention recently, which is very aligned to me, is you said, I'm not going to hide it anymore. I like the woo-woo.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yay. She's
me
a
too.
woo-woo.
We're
Totally.
woo-woos. We're woo-woos. So,
Woo-woos.
so this is what I know of your history, and then let's talk about more recent times. So you were very young when you started being a publicist, and
Yeah.
I believe you had quite a passion for it.
I was very young. I was 21.
And you sought out that role, didn't you?
I did. I actually have been really reflecting on this lately, what drew me to PR. And it really was just because I wanted to work with Dr. DeMartini, and I ended up having the opportunity to meet with the managing director of Hay House being one of the biggest publishers of self-help.
Yes.
And when I met with Leon Naxon, the managing director, he said, John is only one author of a big stable of authors. We're not looking to hire anyone at the moment. And he knew I was just starting out. I was so young. And he said, but I think you would be great in PR. I think you should really consider PR. And from that one comment, I then went out, studied PR. Leon then got me work experience at one of the biggest PR agencies in Australia at the time.
Wow.
But for me, it wasn't PR for the sake of doing PR. It was PR to help get the word of wellness out into the world. And John DeMartini is, of course, a huge figure in that world. So I've always loved, as you put it before, the woo-woo. I've always loved wellness, and PR to me was giving me the opportunity to help use the media for good. Because even to this day, I don't love, and I'm a publicist. I don't love reading the media. I find it very negative. I think it can be such a big source of stress. And if only there were more media outlets that were sharing the word of wellness and positivity and uplifting stories. So that's a long answer to the short question of why I got into PR.
So it's the perfect answer, and it's actually, yet again, you have inspired me because I have a great passion for positivity and supporting the good in the world. You've been very delicate compared with how I am about the media and the impact of the media, and I'm not pleased, put it that way.
Yeah.
I I really get your passion that it wasn't just about PR, it was about how can I support this fellow who helps other other people
Yeah.
be well and healthy and happy.
Yeah.
And it speaks to me because one of the things with having this podcast, when I think about who I've interviewed and who I'm always
Mm.
drawn to interview, it's always people who are trying to make a positive difference in the world.
Yeah. It's beautiful. So when I was in PR, I'm 43 now. I launched my PR consultancy at 21. So that is 22 years ago.
Mm.
At that point, when you think of the media landscape, it was a very different world because there were a limited number of media outlets where most people were getting their information.
Mm.
And so they were able to have a greater impact just because of that by default. Whereas now the media landscape and where we get our information, it's completely changed. And now every individual is like a mini media house. So like yourself, you're a mini media house and you've made the decision to have that media house be representative of positive and uplifting stories. And this is where I see how the work I'm doing today, what I'm hoping the work I'm doing today is inspiring more individuals to own that and to use that to their greatest advantage. When they're shaping their personal brand, I see them as mini media houses to go out and share positive stories, uplifting messages, to represent something that's bigger than themselves. And because that's really how the world is going, that's where we're getting information.
It's so true. And I love the idea of being a mini media house.
You are.
Yeah, it really, I often talk about on here or in my life in general, I talk about the effect of ripples, right? And how one individual can have a fantastic ripple even in their day-to-day life. And then someone like yourself or myself to an extent, the ripple can be a bit bigger because there's potentially more eyes and ears on it. But it actually is such a wonderful thought. I have to be careful now not to make this about me because I've relied on you for your expertise for a long time, Carlii. So I'm like, oh, yes, I could think about that more in terms of what I do and how I do it and realise that it is actually part of the media now.
Yeah,
I'm,
it is.
I'm from the generation, I'm 10 years older than you, and I very much remember when there was, Channel 2, 7, 9 and the exciting adding of 10 in my teenage years.
Yeah.
But now, the last guest I had on actually, he and his wife, Usha's interview hasn't come out yet, but that's Martin, who created Moodle, the online learning program Moodle.
Yeah, wow.
Amazing fellow, and one of those thinkers, like when you do a psychometric and someone is off the Richter in the visionary, like he's thinking 200 years ahead,
Amazing.
Anyway, he was talking about this idea of the internet becoming more and more of a toxic place and what they call AI slop and, fake everything, and it's all become a whole world, right? And I always say my own Facebook feed, because of the algorithm, how I've taught it, it's just sunshine photos, pictures, poems, love. It's just full of what I like because it's all I show interest in. So it goes, okay, hippie.
Here you go.
Here's a Mary Oliver poem. Knock yourself out,
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, wonderful. So, right?
It's so true.
You had that feeling right back then. You were a very young woman. You're already interested. I don't even know why it surprised me when you did your confessional about liking the spiritual, because you were committed to supporting John Martini 22 years ago, 21 years ago, right? So you already had it in you. Then you go on with your life. You do that. You famously look after Miranda Kerr. You're having, it sounds like this fabulous international life. Is that correct at this point?
Absolutely. And it's so, I think back to that time in my life with such fondness. I'm a young, mid-20s, living in New York, representing one of the biggest supermodels in the world. The glitz, the glamour, the parties, like how amazing is that? And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And the thing that links, again, those worlds, Miranda, as much as everyone and I think more today than ever before, they really recognize she is a powerhouse in the world of wellness in and of herself. But the reason why we worked together so well is because of that shared love of wellness and self-help and personal development. And, you know, she still remains to be one of the hardest working, most loyal, down to earth, beautiful women I've ever met. And so, again, it was, yeah, just such a blessing.
Do you know what that story, apart from being thrilled for you, that time in your life, I can so imagine.
Yeah.
Um, it also tells me about the media, right? So, you know, the way I've historically heard of Miranda Kerr is tabloid journalism.
Yep.
And probably I haven't read anything tabloidy for many years, but I certainly used to. So if I
Yep.
saw something, it would be hopefully from the media's point of view, something scandalous, something fictitious,
Yep.
something hurtful, right? And then you know this woman and what she's actually like and what she's done. And doesn't it just show how much untruth is out there, right?
Yeah. And this also feeds into the lens through which I see the world, because I've had that exposure and I've been behind the scenes and I've really had a intrinsic understanding of how the media works. And you know, of course, yes, I was in the lifestyle and entertainment area, but the same mechanics still apply to business PR, to political PR. You know, everything is thought through, like every single word, how a person's dressed, where they're positioned, the way the media is presented, it's all been manufactured. So I never have looked to the media for my source of truth. Yes,
Mm.
are there media outlets and information that's absolutely credible, and you know, some of the smartest, most incredible individuals have put those stories together. But I certainly don't look to the media for truth, because, yeah, I have seen that myself and seen how the media portrays a person is not always how that person is.
No. No, it's quite a separate world. It's almost a fantasy world, isn't it? There's life and then there's what's created for people to see or read or anything else.
Yeah.
And that of course is an interesting point of view as well, you know, in terms of authenticity and when so let's finish the story of your young life and then we'll talk about the brand in you and then we'll talk about
Yeah.
this fabulous new book, right?
Perfect.
So you meet this lovely fellow, and if I'm correct, he may have been a friend or flatmate or something that was not meant to result in the love of your life. Have I got that right?
Yes. Wow, you really did your research. Thank you. Yes, it was. So I won't give you the long abridged version,
Okay.
but absolutely it was. My husband, I actually met him when I was 18, but you know, we were like passing ships. We didn't really pay any attention to each other. And then years later, I bumped into him again at a business networking event. Again, just friends. Then we became flatmates. And then eventually that unfolded to be a very beautiful love story that is still very much going on, and resulted in two beautiful boys. So yes, definitely flatmate to love of my life, which I think is actually, if I had to become an expert on relationships, which I'm definitely not, but if I was running a seminar on like top tips, I would say live with the person first. And actually, if you can be friends first, that's such a beautiful way to start, because you see all the warts and all, you see them with their defenses down, not trying to put on any, pretensions. They're just being themselves. And yeah, we were like an old married couple before we even started dating, which was wonderful.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think flatmate is the ultimate in that, right? Because you're literally
So,
going in and out of the bathroom.
yeah.
How are you? You want a cup of tea?
Yeah.
It's like being married 40 years before you've even got together, right?
Exactly. And so we knew we were great like that. So then everything else was just fun and games, really.
right?
So
You had
we
the
still look
basics.
forward to being the old couple and by ourselves. So it's
Yeah,
great.
right. Because you get along. When I met my husband much later, and when I met him, we became friends, and we were both in separate relationships. And eventually, those other relationships ended, and we got together. And I was already extremely keen on my husband, but I didn't know if he thought the same. And when
Oh,
I first got together with him, the boyfriend I had broken up with said to me, "Well, I can accept that because I think he's your best friend."
oh, that's so beautiful. That gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, it did me
That gave
too. And
me
I was telling the
goosebumps.
story, but yeah, it was we did have this
Meant to be.
basis of yeah, I get why you say that. I don't think everyone can organise it so beautifully.
No, yeah,
Imagine dating now, Carly. Like
I
this
know.
world. Oh, it's so vicious, and it's
I
all
know.
online and made up, and oh, I feel very grateful I'm not in that throng, you know?
I know. And look, even the girlfriends that I have that are still in that zone,
Yes.
whether they want to be or not, I've just said to them, you don't have to participate in it like that.
No.
Go and do things you love. Like, go back to the analog way, and maybe the results will be, as they would have been, rather than trying to do it out of a digital menu, and it just doesn't feel as, I don't know. Look, I've never done it. So I also was blessed it was not really the in thing to do when we first got together. So
Mm.
I've never tried it. I've never experienced it. But I
Mm.
will be living through my two boys who may have to do it. I'm almost certain they will. So I'll, yeah, see what it's
I
like.
know. I know. I agree with you about the analog. I mentioned Martin before with Moodle, and he's, of course, his whole life has been computer science. And when I talked to him about the future of the world and AI, he said he's realising more and more the importance of human beings getting together in
Yeah.
person, creating community, creating these ripples we're talking about as a real in person, because there's nothing like it, is there? There's nothing
No.
like it in terms of sitting with someone
Yeah.
and if we could have done it today, we would have literally sat together. And
Yeah.
this is a very good second, but it would still be better if we were sitting together,
For
right?
sure.
Because there's something
100%.
magical in the space between the two people. And
Yeah.
yeah, I like that you tell your friends just get out. Look, if to be honest, if I was single tomorrow, I would just wander through my life and
Yeah.
set intentions, manifest, write the list, and just live my
Yeah.
life. And he'd rock up, right? He'd rock up.
100%.
Yeah.
My mum, she met her now husband. She was doing the Camino de Santiago, on the walk, bumped into this man. He did not fit the profile of anything that she thought she was looking for, but there was a chemistry that chemistry you can't get anywhere else other than in person. And honestly, he is the most beautiful, loving, like, just, we all love him. We all love him. And if she had been online and judging him off an online profile, it would never have happened. But yet the
No.
magic that brought them together on the Camino de Santiago, that's to me a story of real.
Yeah, what a starting point as well.
Yeah,
Fancy be doing that and you meet your new love. How wonderful.
so good.
I remember I've quoted her here often, but I can't remember her name, and I'm pretty sure she wouldn't still be doing the role she did. Many years ago, I lived in Sydney for a couple of years, and there was a newspaper writer at the time. She wrote the relationship column, which I was very interested back then. I actually did spend a limited amount of time on, I don't even know if it still exists, online dating RSVP.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's just say I'm glad your
Not
mum met her
good.
husband on the Camino.
Yeah, not online.
I reckon I say to people, I was actually a very brief speed dating hostess for a while, Carly.
Oh, wow.
I thought it would be a fascinating job. It started fascinating and then it became a job where I read a book for 7 minutes and rang a bell and then read a book for 7 minutes. But I do say to people, if you really want to date, speed date, because
Yeah.
you get to sit with the person, and like
Yeah.
your mum and her husband, or this lady that I was referring to in Sydney in the relationship column, she said, what makes a happy marriage is chemistry and commitment.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think
So
it's
true.
true. You can't.
It's so true.
You can't make a feeling that's not there come alive if it's
Yeah.
just, if that bit isn't there. Like I have a saying that no one's caught on, but I keep trying. A spark can grow, but repulsion is forever.
That's a good one.
Thank you. No one ever tells you that's a good one. I agree. I agree. I love that. But yeah, it's just so far it's just been me. So I'm really grateful for your support. But yeah, that sense of that draw to the person, that connection to the person, it's not about looks or anything actually. It's that, do I have that thing, you know? And then when life becomes real or tricky or anything else, the commitment to say, you're my person and I'm going to figure out, if I can, I'm going to figure out how to do this well with you. So you have this... True. You have this beautiful fellow and then you have these beautiful boys. And when you had them in your literature about yourself, it says you had extended maternity leave. What does extended mean? How many years?
You know, I was trying to work this out the other day and I was thinking I really should know this because it's a big part of my story. Yeah. I would say it was about, I was expecting that it would be 5-6 years. It wasn't that long. It was maybe 3, 4. So Alessandro, our baby, the youngest, was born. I had finished work by then. And yeah, he would have been 3 and just starting preschool. So it was about 3-4 years, which is certainly longer than your typical 12 months.
Yes.
And yes, I went on extended maternity. And that was a really difficult time for me as someone who had always identified herself as very much a career woman, and I loved being with my boys, but I really knew I wanted to be doing something else as well. Yes, so I found it really, really difficult to just be at home with the boys. Even though I loved every minute of it, I really, really did. But I just knew that I had to be doing something else. And actually that period, that was the moment that really propelled me into what I'm doing today, because it all started with me sitting on the couch with Dom one night watching TV, which I don't usually do. And he reached over gently and put his hand on my knee and he said, honey, you know, you haven't washed your hair in a week. You've been wearing the same clothes every day. And I can tell something is not right, you know, so what is it? And, I was just stuck in such a rut. I felt so invisible. I'd lost all my confidence. I knew I wanted more. I felt guilty for wanting more. I was also terrified about putting myself out there again because it had felt like so long ago. And I also knew what I had been doing before, I couldn't realistically do now with 2 baby boys. And being the mum that I wanted to be within the hours that I wanted to be with them. So I just didn't know what my next step would look like. And the next morning I woke up, washed my hair, and started Googling, opened my computer, started Googling, came across a short video from Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I do know him, yeah.
And so he's a bit of a swearer. Am I allowed to swear?
I swear like a trooper, Carlii.
Oh, okay, good.
I try not to do it when I have elegant guests like yourself, but there's lots of F-bombs normally.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I came across one of his YouTube shorts, and it said just basically, stop whinging and get the fuck on with it. And I don't know why it just connected with me in that moment. I was like, okay, I've got to stop whinging. I've just got to get on with it. And for me, what that looked like in that moment was I went on to a business women's networking group on Facebook, introduced myself. I just said, this is who I am. This is what I've done. And I want to help women in business. Like, it really wasn't a well thought out pitch. It wasn't compelling. It was just like, this is all I can do. And from that one post, Tamara, I was inundated with women reaching out saying, I want help with my personal branding. And And that was it. That was so from that post, I quickly put together a Word document. That was the extent of my marketing material, a really basic Word document, which makes me, I just laugh so much considering how much I now spend on everything else. But Word document, I put together a $300 Squarespace website, which did not have a picture of me on it. Again, broke all my own rules. And that was the beginning of my business.
Yeah, I can. So I had my one and only baby when I was 40 and had a whole life prior to that. Yeah, I say, people, what's the saying? God doesn't give you more than you can handle. And
Yeah.
Sam is so awesome. My husband and I clearly can't handle very much because he's wonderful. And now I now owe him $5, Carly, because if I talk about him on the podcast without checking with him, we have a privacy jar.
Oh, I love that. How old is he now?
11.
Oh, now you owe him $10 because you just told me 2 pieces of information.
Oh, God, everyone's on his side. When Martin was here, I said, oh, now that I've mentioned Sam, I have to pay him $5. And he goes, did you say Sam? And I was like, Martin. He made $35 that episode, Carly. He's sending me broke.
Okay, I won't say his name again, but that's
Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll just pretend it's someone else if you do. I say sometimes I say allegedly this child I may know. I try and skirt around it,
Perfect.
But the reason I mention him is you've got this international career, very exciting, very unusually exciting. Then wonderful, love, marriage, babies, gorgeous. But it's so easy for someone like myself that has a lot of identity through work and through exciting adventures to feel not only I can't do what I used to do. So a lot of people, if they have a baby, they can go back to what they did, but you literally couldn't.
Yeah.
So you had the feeling of being the mum and not the jet setter and the loss of that life, which would have had a grief attached to it for sure, right?
Yeah.
And then so you did what Gary suggested, you do what we've talked about here, Rumi says, take the step and the path will appear. I actually think, and I know you're such a believer in this from all the things you've posted. One of the things as well about what you post is the thoughtfulness of what you post. You don't just go, hey, it's me, Carly, come and talk to me, or this is why I'm awesome. You think about what would be useful for people to hear. And when I think about all the things you've written and all the things I found useful, I think that is one of the things really that has been one of the strongest for me from your historic work, at least. Take the step and the path will appear.
Yeah. It really, I find myself repeating that over to clients over and over again. Just take the first step. And that can be really daunting. And the truth is, the first step is different for everyone. And this is where, permission to tune into the woo-woo, you really have to, the first step really has to be come back to yourself, come back to your voice, listen to that voice, because that first step may not make any real sense. It may be to go to an event, to sign up to this, introduce yourself into this network that you don't even know anyone, you don't have any idea of what you're even pitching, whatever it might be for you. But yes, I really do believe in that idea of just take the first step and then let it unfold rather than overthink, ruminate. You just don't. Some of the best ideas that I feel like I've ever had in terms of thought leadership, even when I think about designing my presentations now in the corporate arena, some of the best ideas I've had have only come because I've put something out there, and at the intersection of what I've said and then what someone else has responded with, that's actually the magic. So if I hadn't have put that first thing out, I wouldn't have got to that point where that magic had occurred. So I always say some of your best ideas might be out there, but you're not going to get them until you're willing to just take that first step.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, what you just said had me think about a lot of things. One of the things that you've said that has been very useful for me, and I'm sure for many others, is how well do you need to be known for what you want to achieve, right? Because
Yes.
we live in the world of, let's say, Kardashians. Everyone's like, everyone must know me, you know. And one of the things that you shared a long time ago now was actually, who is your audience? Who do you want to reach? And
Yep.
how do you best do that? And then additionally, when we look at this idea, one of your recent posts was around being impatient and saying
Yeah.
that you were rebranding it as a go-get, right? So I could really relate to that also.
Yeah.
And I describe it in myself. The stuff that works out well for me is quiet and gentle and fun and loving,
Yeah.
right? I go,
Mm.
like that. Oh, and it feels right. And I can take a happy first step. There's another whole part of me that is desperate, grasping, agitated. What am I meant to be doing, Carlii? What am I meant to be doing? And it's so loud when that's running that the little voice, I say to people, you got to, because the little voice goes, hey, I've got an idea. But if you don't take a breath, love
Yeah.
yourself, look after yourself, go, it's all right. It's all right. Come back.
Yeah.
The little voice is the one. This podcast exists because I gave a talk at a big women's talk in Perth. A very well-known lady in Perth, when the Slido questions came up, said, if you don't have a podcast, you should. I went, should I? I'd never thought of
Wow.
it before. I'm
Yep.
thinking about it. Go out to lunch with a dear friend, say to her, someone suggested I have a podcast, but I can't imagine how to set up the studio. She said, I'm going to create a podcast studio at home. My nephew is an AV guy, he's literally in the room with me. He's going to Whopper. He needs a job and he needs practice. He's now
Wow.
he's gone beyond me, Carlii. I'm now desperate to hang on to him. Love
Yeah.
you. He gave me a thumbs up. I've still got him for now,
Yeah,
right?
good.
But miracles, right? Gentle, loving, happy
Beautiful.
miracles. And I think I don't know about for you, but I think when we do have this sort of striving personality or go-getter, what's next? You know, what's next? It is important to go, it's all right. It's all
Yeah.
right. It's all right. Take a
Yeah.
breath. Everything's okay. Listen quietly. It's one of my biggest lessons to be able to do that.
It's the most important. So I'll tell you a story that totally relates to that, and it is in the book as well. There's a whole chapter titled Make Space for Grace. So I mentioned to you earlier that I sat down. The big pivotal moment in my career right at the beginning was meeting Leon Naxon at Hay House. And how that came about was I went to see Dr. Demartini speak. I bought a book just straight after he spoke, had him sign it. You know, I was like his biggest fan. Walk out thinking, I have got to work with Dr. Demartini, and have an intuitive nudge, look down at the book, look at Hay House's logo and think, okay, that's my first step. Send in my resume, physical format, because that was what you did back then. Send it in, hear nothing. Call. They, very politely remind me, if there's an opportunity, we'll get back to you. As you pointed out, I am impatient. Hear nothing. Out of nowhere, months and months go past. I get a call from Leon Naxon, the managing director. I'd like you to come in and see me. Okay, so didn't even think in that moment, why is the managing director calling me, this young 20-year-old girl? Go in, sit down. Leon's the most down-to-earth, still my mentor today, 20 years later. He wears slippers to work, funny, just anyway, brilliant person. Sit down, and he said, look, I don't have a job to offer you, but the reason why I had to call you was I was cleaning my desk, and at the very moment that I went to put your resume in the recycling, the radio announcer on the background said, and here comes Carlii. And he was like, so obviously I had to call you and get you in. There's a reason we have to meet. So, to me, at that pivotal moment in my life and my career, that taught me the value of making space, as you called it, miracle, making space for grace, is you don't know how things are going to happen. But if you make space for those miraculous serendipities, it just makes everything so much more exciting and fun as well.
Yes.
And life's proven it to me. So someone could come here and say, Carlii, oh, that's all a load of rubbish. But I'm sorry, I've got the proof. I'm the living proof. And it does take, on the receiving end, someone like Leon to go, oh, you've got to pick up on it. Like, you have to be a person
Yes.
to act on it as well. So that's where the magic lies.
Yeah, because there was a combination, right? The last podcast that came out, I had Michelle Cowan, who's the head of football at AFLW West Coast
Wow.
Eagles.
Yeah.
She's a very easy woman to love, Carlii. If you get a chance, have a listen to her. And we talk about this idea. She had tenacity and faith. And that's what you're talking about, right? You had tenacity because you kept contacting. They're like, hey, remember how we said we were going to get back to you? And you're like, that's fine. I'll be in touch in a fortnight.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
eventually you go, okay, look, it's been months. I'll give them a rest. And then this faith element. And I think for me, that's an area that I'm continuing to grow in, and I would have loved to say I was strong at. I think a few years ago, if someone had said to me, you don't have a good enough faith, I would have been very offended because I saw myself as positive and faith-filled. But actually, when I looked at it, I did not have the trust in something bigger, a bigger purpose. And now it's something that I practice to strengthen within myself. You know, I stop and I practice and I notice what is, because do you know, you must have this. When I stop worrying for a minute and relax for a minute, I am so supported.
Yeah.
Whether it's on this plane or another or both, I'm sure I have a gang of supporters, maybe on another plane, going, for goodness sakes, we're all here.
Yeah.
We're really, really behind you. Can't you tell how much goes right? Like, and now and again I'll stop and go, oh, thanks, guys. Sorry, I get distracted and worried, you know?
It's so true. I could tell you, and I'm sure you have them as well. And that's the thing, it's that stopping and recognizing and acknowledging that it even exists, because even in doing that, you invite more of it into your life, really.
Yes.
And that was where you mentioned before, that email that I sent of just, I'm accepting this and I want more people, which I definitely do through the book, is I want more people to also embrace this, because especially in the chaotic, crazy world that we're living in, where there's just so much noise and there's so many people trying to tell you what you should be thinking, how you should be acting, all of these things that ultimately distract us.
Yes.
From, as you called it, that quiet voice, from remembering that you do have these, call it them whatever you want to, but this team behind you trying to help you. So
I think what you just said is really, when I want to be compassionate for myself or someone else, it kind of goes back to the media or to marketing or to the Western world. This noise that's there. I was listening to Tara Brach talk to Sam Harris. So I love Sam Harris. I love waking up. I makes such a huge difference. He's talking to Tara Brach and they're talking about this idea of the Western world and how someone said to the Dalai Lama, I have a lot of problem with self-hatred. And the Dalai Lama, even though the translator was trying every different way of saying that, the Dalai Lama was saying, is it because you've murdered someone? Is it because, and they're like, no, I haven't done anything. I just don't like myself. And he was like, I don't understand this concept, because in his culture, it's not a thing. It's just not a thing. But in the Western world, if we think about the impact of everything from media, social media, marketing, consumerism, you must own this thing to be special. This is what will make you okay. We're so bombarded with the noise of what success looks like that I think it takes a real strength to be willing to choose to step out of that and go, hang on, who am I? Why am I here? What brings me joy? How can I bring others joy? And when it doesn't, the trickiest thing, like quite a lot for me, doesn't look like I think it should. So, one of my things is around being authentic and sharing what I'm doing. And at times I'm like, what? This is not shiny, Carlii. This should be much shinier,
Yeah.
But my instinct is, my instinct is I'm there to share my real story, and I'm there to share the stories of great people like yourself. And so when I be who I feel like I am meant to be, you mentioned the word joyous, is joyous.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to listen to that. Our bodies are so intelligent. Like, even forget what lies beyond the dimension that we know as reality. Just in this dimension, our body and our body's ability to communicate with us and tell us what feels right, what doesn't feel right, what's good, what's bad. Like, even that, just the act of listening to your body. I'm always so amazed when I meet a person who is so detached from their body, and you can really tell that, and they don't treat their body well, and all of those things. Just the act of doing that is so powerful.
That's probably been the single biggest thing that's made a difference to me, is getting in touch with my body, my emotions, my state. I used to be pretty much a levitating head. I remember someone asking me many years ago, because I've done healing for many years, and someone said to me, out of 10, how much do you feel like your legs are a part of your body? And I said, what? One? Half?
Yeah.
Even if I'm going to be honest now, how much of my legs are part of a body, the number is still quite low, because
Still low.
Yeah, probably. I've got more happening here, but if I think what's happening with you guys, it's still actually quite low, because I'm always bringing myself down out of my head, always down. And this work I've done recently with my coach Lockie Samuel, who he was on the podcast as well, but all about, the biggest thing has all been about, how does my body feel, what emotion comes up, accepting that emotion, having compassion, releasing the story behind it, and miracles have happened from that practice. But if I don't watch out, the habitual wiring up here that's thought a different way, been insecure, been whatever, made up stories, it's ready to come back in.
Of course, and it's a practice, right? It really is a practice, but at least you're getting there. Those little toes are going to get your love and attention soon. Honestly. By the sounds of it.
Well, with the mindfulness, they get talked to quite often. I think it's the middle bit that needs more love, right? The feet are all right. It's more the knees, yeah. So this is perfect. Let's have a look at your actual book that's coming out, because this is extremely exciting. I'm sure it's exciting for you. It's also exciting for me. The Courage to Be. The title is Courage to Be. Drop the. And what would you like the listeners and viewers to hear about this book? What is it that has excited you about writing it, and what's the possibility you think can come from it for people?
I am really so excited to bring this book out into the world. It is like giving birth to a baby, but it's been a 2-year birthing process. So I'm just so happy that I get to start sharing it and start speaking about it. So it is The Courage to Be. And the subtitle of the book is Small Steps for a Big Life. And ultimately, at the heart of what it represents, it is about helping individuals have the courage to be who they want to be and put themselves out there. That's really everything that I do, everything that I represent. And when I think about what's the ultimate quality that an individual needs to really bravely put themselves out there, it's not confidence. It is courage. Confidence is, or at least courage is, the introverted sidekick to confidence. Confidence comes after or the feelings of confidence come after taking confident action. But we need something to get us to the point where we're going to take confident action, and that's where courage comes in. So I'm really now seeing my job in the world is to raise the profile of courage, who doesn't always want attention, but I think it needs a lot more attention. It's just such an incredible quality to have. But the book, the way that I've done the book is I've broken it into 3 sections, and each section focuses on a different area. So it will be mind, body, and brand. And when I think about, this idea of being your best self and putting yourself out there, I think if you can focus on those 3 core areas of mind, you know, how you're influencing yourself, the stories you're telling yourself, and your mindset, body, which we just spoke about, like really appreciating this incredible vehicle that you have and using it to the best of your advantage to put yourself out there, not only in the way you dress it, but also your body language. And then, of course, brand, which is how are you actually communicating your value? And are you doing that in the most powerful, brave way possible? So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. As usual, it'll be perfect for me. It's even though I've thanked you for what you produce and I commented on the fact it's always useful, that's one of the things I've always felt when I've looked at your work. I can feel the effort might be the wrong word, but I can feel the intention and how much you've put into it. Like when you said, oh, I don't sit down often and watch telly, I was like, no, I know you don't, because you are creating and thinking. And yeah, I really appreciate your level of commitment to your gift and what you want to give people, because you can feel it in what you produce.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome.
That means a lot as well. And I do, you know, I really do, and I'm sure you do too, with everything that you're doing with the podcast. You know, this is, you're not just doing it so that people will listen to your voice. You're not just doing it so people will see you. You're
No.
doing it because you know that this is going to actually impact people's life. And that is actually a really addictive thing to get. You know, once you get a taste of that, once you have one person that you've never met, had any exposure to, and they reach out and they say, oh my God, something that you put up or something you wrote has completely changed my life, or changed the way I'm doing this, or, you know, I was able to do XYZ because of you. Like, that is so addictive. So, of course, I hold that privilege in the highest regard. And I really genuinely do put my heart and soul into what I'm writing. That's why there's a part of me that is so sad about what AI is doing to thought leadership, in the sense of, you can clearly see a lot of people, and rightly so, we should absolutely be tapping into the power of AI. I use it all the time, but I can really see when someone has just put something into AI, taken it and posted it, and I'm not getting a sense of their heart and their soul and their story. It's just, it's running with the same framework. It's using the same language. I'm not getting their essence. And I think that everything I hope I represent in the world is about really giving people the courage to share the essence of who they are. It's really putting the personal in your personal brand. And that's not divulging your deepest, darkest secrets and letting everyone know about your life and your family. I don't believe in that. I do believe in putting your heart and soul into what you do, because that's where you'll really connect with people. And I think that's what leads to what you were saying before, Tamara, about, you read a post that I've written and it feels like I'm really speaking to you. The only way I can get to that point of connection is when my truth speaks to your truth. And that's, yeah. So I really do hope that comes through.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely does. And I know, because I know for myself how strong it's been, but I also know when I see people's responses to you, and you can feel that, you can just feel that support they feel. That's probably the word I would use, is feeling supported. It's interesting when you talk about the idea of being authentic but not having to be your soul. And it's been the one thing, when I've looked at your work over the years, it's been the one thing that I've had conversations with about myself, with myself, right?
Yeah.
And I go, look, I think I agree, Carlii, but, you know, I like the idea of authenticity. Where I actually got to with it was, you've made comments about what to share or not to share, considering what is one's message or what is one's brand. And where I got to with it, and it's going to be very interesting because I've been in a transitional period for really a long time, but what has been true for me is to share quite rawly and
Yep.
with respect to people in my life, quite a lot about my life, my mind, right? And so when I was having my silent discussions with you, where I got to was, well, I think that's right. And I think my brand, where it is at the moment or where it was, and still is to an extent, it was
Mm.
true to do that. Whereas for someone else, it's what am I trying to share and why am I trying to share it, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I think that would that be right if you think of the fundamental idea of what does one share or not? It's about what's the useful message, what's part of what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. So again, one of the chapters of the book is called, and I talk about this as well, practicing intentional authenticity.
Okay.
And what's intentional authenticity? Intentional authenticity is about being true to who you want to be, because I think that there is maybe this misguided belief about what authenticity is. And like, I always question, well, when has the idea of being authentic meant not putting in any effort and being completely raw? Uh, I actually follow the work of a lady by the name of Dr. Rebecca Newton, who wrote a book called Authentic Gravitas. And she talks about authenticity in such a brilliant way. And she says what's important is that we remain authentic to our intention and the impact that we want to have on the people around us. So, what that can mean is that there may be habits, behaviors, ways of operating the world that actually no longer resonate with your intention or the impact you want to have on the people around you. Now, coming back to your example of making the intentional decision that actually you want to be able to share these quite raw and very real stories so that you can help XYZ in XYZ ways. That to me is intentional authenticity. Where I think I see perhaps people thinking they're being authentic, but actually it just comes across as just an emotional rant, and they're not really thinking through the impact that they're having on the people that they're reaching. To me, I don't see the value in it. And it comes back full circle to the beginning of our conversation where we spoke about this idea of being a mini media house.
Yes.
You know, when you start to approach everything you do through that lens, where you're showing up to serve, you're sharing information to add value, to inform, to inspire, it's not as much about you as it is now about more who's going to get that information. Because if you need to get something off your chest, go and tell a therapist, go and tell your friends. The people that you're following, or excuse me, the people that are following you, they are following you because of what you offer to them. So they don't love you for necessarily you. They love you for the role you play in their life. I'm not saying that in a malicious way. I'm not saying that in a nasty way.
No.
But that's just the reality of that relationship. Your followers are not going to be the people you call at 3 a.m. in the morning with an emergency. So I think we just really need to get that clear, because actually, Tamara, I think when we get that clear and we accept that for what it is, then maybe that's going to remind people to actually spend quality time with the 3 a.m.ers and know that, you know, these people over here, they're my, in case of emergency people, they're the people I'm going to share my deepest, darkest secrets with. They're the people that are going to be there for me no matter what I do, because they're just there for me.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because there's also
I do.
this epidemic of loneliness that's happening. And I think it's got a lot to do with people thinking that their followers are their manufactured family.
Yeah, I think that loneliness epidemic is terrible. And I don't know whether, when I think, because I've been blessed, and I suppose it's a weird way of saying it, blessed and deserved lots of very good friends. And it's because it's a real commitment in my life. Like, I'm very committed to my friendships, and they mean a lot to me. I think what you said was so true around what is the point of what I'm saying. And if authenticity is just an emotional dumping ground,
Yeah.
that helpful, right? So one of the things that I've learned on this journey, how I learn is by doing. So when I started this podcast, I started to learn how to do a podcast by having a podcast, right? If I had sat down, because I've read all of your things over the years, I know with your way, you can sit down and think something through and plan it, and, you do it like that. If I sat down at a desk and went, right, let's figure this out.
Yeah. Echo chamber.
I tried to have my first podcast talking to camera. We lasted 1 minute, and I said, Danielle, I'm going to need to talk to you. I can't just talk straight to camera because I need the
The
interplay.
interaction.
But yeah, but the reason I mention that is, as I'm going, what exactly your message is becoming clearer to me. So as I think about what I talk about with you, or what I do when I'm speaking or coaching, I think about this increase in intentionality, generosity, discipline, that I can be authentic, but it is about the other person. It's actually, I don't know if you tell people this tip or you've used it yourself, but the thing that I always say to people when they're nervous about public speaking of any type, I say, just imagine what's in it for them, have your focus on them, and you're really not nervous because it's nothing to do with you anymore, right?
Yep.
It's like, yeah,
It's
they're
so
looking at
true.
you, but it's about them. So with what you're doing, with what I'm doing, when speakers speak, when coaches coach, etc., when the focus is on the other person. So, this book is very exciting. So let's talk about the nitty gritty. When can we get hold of it? What different versions will there be?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. It is out September 1st.
Oh,
and it will be available in all great bookstores,
come
online
on.
and in store. And it will also, the audio book will be available exclusively with Audible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
If it's going to
so
be in
exciting.
bookshops, does that mean it's being published by a publisher, or have you organised the publishing?
I'm working with an independent publisher in the UK. So this is me backing, I've partnered with them, but this is me backing myself.
Oh, yeah. As you should. As you should.
Yeah, look, there are a number of different reasons why I decided to go down that path. But most of all, it was my impatience, because the idea of writing the book and then waiting, which is typically the case when you start thinking about working with some of the bigger guys, you've got to go onto their publishing schedule, which might end up being another 2 years down the track. So
wow.
for me, I was like, no, I can't do that.
I'm not doing
it. So I'm working with the most incredible team in the UK, and they have been amazing. And then, of course, the team at Audible, incredible, like so committed to the art of audio and everything that it represents. And I'm just so excited to be working with them as one of their, it's they treat you a little bit more special when you're exclusively with them. So I'm really happy to be in that situation.
Oh, yeah, it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. I'm sure it's going to be very successful. I think I feel like it'll be the next iteration of your work, won't it? This book coming out, people reading it, you talking about it. How else, is there any other way people can still work with you? Can they work with you one-on-one? I know you're doing speaking. How else can I access Carlii if I want to?
I'm doing a lot more of the speaking side of things, which is so exciting, and I absolutely love it. So that is a big part of how people can access me, is through that speaking. One-on-one, I do still work very selectively with some clients one-on-one. They typically come through my big corporate clients, and so they're the leaders that want more tailored advice one-on-one. But every now and then I'll have someone reach out. I don't publicize now that I'm saying it, but I don't usually, it's not on my website, But every now and then I do work one-on-one. I love working one-on-one with clients. It's such an incredible privilege. It's funny because in the very beginning of my career, like, well, before PR, I was a hairdresser for 3 years as a teenager. And hairdressers, maybe they are unqualified psychologists. You know, the
Absolutely.
things that a person will tell a hairdresser, they're definitely not qualified to get that information. And the reason I say that is, so I did that, but the reason I say that is now in the coaching space, I sometimes have moments where I think, wow, I feel so privileged to be able to get such real, raw, and obviously very sacred insight into the way a person is thinking and feeling. And I hold that in the highest regard. And it's become such a vault for me. But it's just, yeah, I still do want to have that one-on-one, because you just can't replicate that in
No,
the one-on-many, as you would know.
I do know. And I also know the joy. There's nothing lovelier, really, of when you work with someone one-on-one and they get a profound difference. And
Yeah.
exactly like you said, it's such an honour. And it's also an honour to get to know the person that's perhaps behind the mask or behind the fear. And I don't know about you, Carly, but the more I work with people, the more beautiful I realise people are. And there's just sometimes stuff in the way of them showing that to others, but people are
So
just
true.
awesome. They're just so good.
So true.
Yes, but I get that it can't be something that you do a lot of because there's only so many hours in the week.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's only one you, and you're doing these other things, and you're trying to make the biggest difference. So I get why, as much as you could if you could clone yourself, you'd probably coach, right, and then do all the other stuff, but you can't. So it's very limited.
Now you can, right, with the AI cloning, but I don't know. I
don't
think
know.
there's that, mind, body, brand. I want to feel someone's energy. I don't know if the AI Carly would necessarily be as, I don't know.
It's like when I speak to Martin from Moodle, and he said when I very first met him, I was friends with Usha, his wife, and she and I worked together as colleagues. And when I first went to their home, he said, "I'm looking at AI for coaching."
Yeah.
And I internally gasped and said, "Oh, how lovely. Nice to have met you." And then when he came on here, he said, "I've realised you can't have AI as the coach." And I said, "Oh, thank God." I said, "How did you come to that solution?" And he said 2 things. One, there's an actual interplay between people that can't actually really be quantified. The energy between the 2 people is where things happen. He also said, because he thinks big times are coming in the job market with AI, it's pretty scary. He said, who wants the robot to be counselling them on the fact they've lost their job and what they're going to do next?
Exactly. And it's
like we need the humans.
We definitely, when I was first thinking about writing the book, I was in Bali and I had just spoken at a conference, and I walked up to the bookshop there at the airport, and I usually go straight to the kind of personal professional development area, and I was just standing there and I looked at every single book. Every book was on AI. And my reaction was, oh my God, but the world still needs you. So that was going to be the title of the book. The world needs you, because I really believe it. I really, really hope people still sit in that space of the world needs you. And yes, maybe you're going to have to reinvent and redefine and reimagine in what ways the world needs you, and really think about providing different services in different areas, but the world still needs you.
Yeah, and the thing that, of course, is so connected to what we've been talking about is the world needs humans with human skills who are able to love and communicate with other humans. So the people that you would largely work with or would read your book, I suspect many of them are going to be even more important. Like, the world does need them, because the world is a little bit confused, as we know, in many ways. but there is a lot of good people with a lot of love and a lot of, I think the work you do, the work I'm trying to do, it is all about connection and positivity and creating something better than the
Yeah.
noise, right? Better than
Yeah.
just the noise of, and the painful noise.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I was just writing this the other day. Noise to one person is music to another. And we as a collective, and definitely, as you said, the people who will resonate with my book, who are hopefully coming to the book with this sense that yes, they have to start putting themselves out there. I know that they are people who want to add value to the world. They do want to leave the world a better place.
Mm.
And it, that to me, make your music. It will be noise to some people. It will. It
Of
just won't
course.
resonate with a lot of, not resonate with a lot of people. It won't resonate with some people. But the people that it does resonate with, that comes back to what you said before. It's that ripple effect. And then you create those ripples. And if the more that we can do that, the better the world will be.
Absolutely. I think it's also connected to what you were saying and what I was saying about how I can feel the level of effort you put in. So one of the posts, that post helped me as well when you said it won't be useful to everyone, but it'll be useful to who it's useful to. And the other thing was that level of love in the work so that it's not AI generated bang.
Yeah.
It's thought through. It's how will this help? It comes from your heart. I think that part of it is very important. And, the courage to be, I've been in the public eye in a small way for 20 years, right? I've been a trainer for years, speaker for years, coach for years. The reason I'm so excited about your book is not that I haven't put myself out there before, but putting myself out there in a new way or a different way or a way
Yeah.
that's actually closer to my heart than my training,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not like, it doesn't need to be people that have never stepped out before. It can be people like me that are like, I've done that, but now I want to do a version that's truer for me, more powerful,
Yeah.
more useful. So there'll be a lot of people who'll be able to get a lot, right?
Absolutely. And putting yourself out there will mean different things to different people. For some people, putting themselves out there and being more visible will be speaking up in a meeting at work. And to them, that will be a monumental shift that will have its own ripple effects. To other people, as you said, they might already be out there, but perhaps they need the courage to reimagine and be brave enough to really show up in a way that's more closely aligned with what they want to be doing and what they want to be saying. And this is where a lot of my clients are. They are at the top in terms of my one-on-one clients. They're at that leadership level. They've gotten to those heights in their career, but they're at a point where they are now in the position of leadership where they can start to really bring themselves to the table in terms of how they're influencing, in what ways they're influencing. And they have to have the courage in some respects to sometimes break out of the corporate mold to go, this is, as a leader, what I want to stand for. And that might be for them what putting themselves out there looks
Oh,
like.
and with the corporate work I've done for many years, the thought of people being willing to do that, but also the courage that they would
Yeah.
require, depending on the culture of the company, to be able to step out and go, this is who I am, this is what, because I work with the people that are impacted by the top leaders. And I'm really sad to say the majority of places and businesses, people are not positively impacted. And part of the reason, one of the things I talked about with a different guest on here, Cindy Kennedy, was when I said, why is it often that I'll meet senior people, particularly women senior people, and I won't be able to feel their safety, their heart, their love? And she said, I think because they're so used to being intellectual and ambitious and towing the line of what's required, all of this is shut down. So
Yeah.
you don't feel the sense of love or safety because they're
Yeah.
just operating. So I can imagine some of the biggest challenges would be people who are successful, very
Yeah.
successful, who are like, actually, I've got to a level of expected success or academic success or financial
Mm-hmm.
success, but it's not my heart. Now I want to show that. That's braver to me than someone for the first time going, hey, I'd like to be a, that's real courage, right?
I tend to agree with you. And I talk about this like when you're especially starting out and I mean, look, everyone, what I've found is when people are just starting out, let's say they've never really put themselves out there, they still have a built-in audience that they're also nervous to be seen by, whether that's their friends, colleagues, past managers. So we all have that. And it's usually a handful of people that when we think of that fear of, what are they going to think? It's usually just a handful of people. And we all have that, whether we're starting out and no one knows us or we're already the leader and, thousands of people know us. Yes, there is more visibility already built into their situation. So if they suddenly make a move, by default, it is going to be seen by more people.
Mm.
Again, my experience, though, is that they're only really worrying about a handful of those people in terms of who they're really worried about in opinions and judgments. There's still just a handful of people. But yes, the fallout or the potential lashback from putting themselves out there in a different way is greater.
Yeah.
And yes, it does take more courage, but it comes back to why are you doing it? Like, what's that intention? What impact are you trying to have? And when the impact and what you potentially can gain in that area far surpasses the downsides or that fear factor, then that's when you're really going to take action.
Yes, that it's a saying I love and I use a lot here. The when it's behind you, it's a tiger, and when it's in front of you, it's a kitten.
That's so good.
Yeah, right. So I can't, because look who's right there.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and they're like, pew. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I thought you were going to be so much worse.
So good. I love it. I'm gonna think of that all the time now.
It's like
look at the kitten, pat the
look
kitten.
at the kitten, man. Like it can't do anything,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been such a powerful thing to realise, and I have to keep realising it for all the reasons we've said. That thing you said about you're only actually worried about a few people, you shared that quite a long time ago, and I realised I was only stopped by one person. It was so useful. One. And I went, I'm only worried about what this one person will think. And being able to look at that and go, this whole action is being stopped because of the risk of this one person, which I made up anyway. It wasn't even really a risk. That's why your stuff is so good, Carlii. So good. Everything I go, total change from that, total opening from that, totally different way of.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. One person, 8 billion people, and you're worried about one person. Isn't that crazy? But this is and again, when I talk about that privilege of getting that insight, when you start to see the same thing occurring, and you would see this as well in the people that you work one-on-one with, you go, oh my God, we are all saying the same thing about the same thing, and we're having the same issues. But it's absolutely that idea of who we're actually afraid of. We keep saying it's everyone, but I had one lady she was middle-aged. She was afraid of her mum. Like for me, it was 3 people that I was worried about. And then when you can really look at that and you go, what? 3 people I'm worried about? It's just crazy.
Yeah, but that's the tiger kitten, right? Because you go, there's millions of people back there. Then you go, hang on, there's 1, 2 or 3. And are they even actually a worry? And even if they are a worry, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah. It's kind of being able to have that insight, right? And look at things from a different perspective and the freedom of that. I think that's what your book's going to provide. It's what you've shared already has provided online and in the work you've done already is the insight to know it's okay. you can take a risk and it's going to be worth it. And like you said, that feeling when you make a difference for someone else, it's much better than any other thing. When I was a trainer, we get evals, right? And it'd say great fun, good speaker, whatever. Lovely. Ego loved it. But if I ran into someone on the street, which rarely happens, run into someone on the street and they go, you did this training with me, I still use the thing you taught me. Honestly, it's the difference between love and fear, right? The ego and the heart. It's like
Yeah.
when someone says that to me, I go, oh, I'm so glad it made a difference. It's
So
the
good.
best feeling, best heart feeling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is. And if you can get more people excited about that, that's just going to be the winning strategy. And look, it's not all altruistic. We're getting out, like,
That's
it
right.
is self-serving as well, because it genuinely feels so good.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm sure there's elements of ego involved, but it's like the whole spectrum of you feels great from something like that. So it's definitely not, all about the people you're serving. It will fill your cup as well, and that's,
Well, that's the
how
beauty,
amazing
right?
is that?
Yeah, because then you're doing work that makes a difference, but you're not a martyr. Because I've
Yeah.
done work that's made a big difference, but I've done it from a point of martyrdom or I must. That's a very different flavour than I want to. And it's silly examples where I realised, I'm the eldest in the family and I'd scurry around and try and make the table good and think I was doing good girl. Everyone's stressed out of their mind because I'm stressed out of mine. And then I was like,
Yeah.
hang on,
It's
I'm
not
being a
working.
martyr. They don't want it. I'm not helping anyone. So it's like, in the Vipassana tradition, the practice of metta, we're loving kindness for other people. And they literally articulate when you think good things for someone else, how do you feel yourself? And you feel at peace and happy.
Yeah.
So it's totally self-serving.
Yeah.
And it's just bonuses all round,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. It's just a win, win, win. And
Yeah.
it doesn't make the act of putting yourself out there easier, but it
No.
makes it more rewarding when you start to factor that into why you're doing what you're doing. It is about that intention and that impact, it just makes it more rewarding. I mean, I am thinking about just, ahead of the promoting the book and having to put myself out there. I mean, the worst part of writing a book about courage is then actually having to have the courage to put yourself out there because you're telling other people to do it. But, when you're doing it and you feel like it's really giving for a bigger picture purpose.
Yes.
It makes it more rewarding. Doesn't make it easier though.
No, I think for all of us, we still have that moment of, I got to do this. But if I think of you putting this book out, you have been so courageous for so many years. You won't be able to help but do a fantastic job of authentically promoting this book. It's going to be perfect. You already know it, because it's what you do. You've challenged yourself over and over and over, and you're going to bring this book out and you're going to love bringing it out. And all you have to remember is the heart in it for you, and you're just going to have a great time, and everyone's going to have a great time. And I wish I could be at some launch. Are you going to have a book launch?
I am going to have an event. Actually, I just sent out the invitations yesterday, 8th of the 8th, Lionsgate, of course.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, yes, I am going to celebrate on the 16th of September. And then I'll do another book talk at a bookstore in Mossman on the North Shore in Sydney. So, yeah. Hopefully I get over to Perth at some stage.
Well, I didn't want to ask, but when I first had the dream of having you on the podcast, you did come to Perth in that dream. Well, my current dream is that I want to come over to Sydney because I've got a couple of people in Sydney. I thought I could meet you in person, and then quid pro quo, Clarice, we might add Perth into your book tour.
Perfect. It's
a lovely place.
Oh, I can't wait to get over there.
I'm well known for helping people set up lovely itineraries. So I'd be very happy to do that if it meant I got to see you in person in Perth.
Amazing.
Whole family, I could do a schedule.
Oh, amazing. actually cannot wait to get over there because I want to dive the Ningaloo. Is it Ningaloo Reef? Right?
Yes.
I mean, I
Come
can't
on.
wait.
Come
Yeah,
on.
it's
We need to
beautiful over
talk
there.
very specifically about dates. We have to avoid school holidays. Look at the New South Wales. There's a whole thing we have to sort out, but we can do that
Perfect.
when the
Done.
time comes.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Is there anything we haven't talked about that you would have liked to today?
I honestly am so impressed with your level of detail and insight into my story. So, no, you've covered all bases. And I am so grateful to you and what you're doing with the podcast. And no, it's been so delightful. I'm really, feel very blessed. So thank
For
you.
me too.
Oh,
yeah,
no,
I've loved talking to you. I could just keep talking to you, but I feel like I have to let you go. I have to let Grayson go to the circus. Got to be responsible as we be loving, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Like what you heard? Like and subscribe.